Prologue. There's a house behind St. Alora's Hospital in a small town called Bridgeport. Abandoned, broken, silent. People say it belonged to the head nurse, Margaret Rains, who vanished 40 years ago after a series of unexplained patient deaths. The hospital still runs. The house still waits. And now someone has returned. Chapter 1: Arrival. It was a cold morning when 28-year-old Sarah Whitmore returned to Bridgeport. She had just accepted a new job at St. Alora's Hospital as a trauma nurse. To everyone else, it was a fresh start. But Sarah had a secret. She had been born in this town. And her birth certificate listed her mother as Margaret Rains, the same woman who vanished in 1985. Sarah never knew her. She was adopted at 6 months and never came back until now. The hospital administrator, Dr. Glennon, gave her a warm welcome. "Your credentials are impressive," he said, shaking her hand. "And I hope you'll love our little town." But as she looked out the window behind his desk, her eyes caught the old house. Blackened windows. Collapsing porch. And yet something about it called to her. "I want to rent that house," Sarah said. Glennon paled. "That place? Nobody lives there. It's condemned." "I'll fix it up," she replied, almost as if someone else had spoken through her. Chapter 2: The Locked Room. Sarah moved in 2 weeks later. The house smelled of dust and time. Old furniture sat beneath sheets. Cracks crept across the walls. In the living room, a fireplace held a stack of charred photographs, burned just enough to hide the faces. But the strangest part was the upstairs door at the end of the hallway. It was sealed shut with wooden planks and rusted nails. No matter how hard she pulled, it wouldn't open. She asked the landlord about it. "There's no room up there," he said quickly. "Just space under the roof. Don't worry about it." But Sarah did. Because every night, around 3 a.m., she heard footsteps pacing just behind that door. Chapter 3: The Patient Files. At St. Alora's, Sarah worked the night shift. During her breaks, she explored the archive room in the basement, mostly out of curiosity. There she found a box labeled, Rains, Margaret, Staff Records, 1980 to 1985. Inside were glowing reviews, awards, even a newspaper article titled, "Angel of Alora Saves 22 Lives in 1 Week." But beneath it, hidden in a second envelope, were incident reports. February 1984. Patient number 112. Heart stopped during routine surgery. Nurse Rains was last seen adjusting 4 fluids. June 1984. Complaints from staff about Nurse Rains performing rituals or muttered prayers near comatose patients. September 1985. 6 patients died in 1 night. No medical explanation. The final note was scribbled hastily in red ink. "She's not healing them. She's taking something." Sarah's hands shook as she closed the box. Chapter 4: The Whisper. That night, at precisely 3 a.m., the footsteps returned. Sarah stood outside the sealed door, holding a flashlight. The pacing stopped. Then, a whisper from behind the wood. "Sarah, help me." She stumbled back. Her mother was dead, wasn't she? The next day, Sarah hired a contractor to remove the boards. "You sure you want this open?" he asked. "Some doors are better left shut." She nodded. It took hours. The final nail came loose with a groan, and the door swung open. Dust swirled in the air. Inside was a nursery. Rocking chair. Mobile.
Crib.
Everything frozen in time. On the floor lay a stack of journals. Each one marked, Margaret Rains. Chapter 5: The Blood Pages. Sarah began reading the journals. At first, they were normal. Notes about nursing, patience, gratitude. Then they changed. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the gateway. I healed them by offering parts of myself. But I'm weakening. They come every night now. Not patience things. Hungry, hollow things. They want the child. I must hide her. Protect her. Sarah flipped to the final entry, dated the night of Margaret's disappearance. They found me. There's no more time. I've sealed the room. Hidden the bell. The blood ritual must not be completed. If anyone finds this, burn the house. Don't let her open the door. Sarah looked around in horror. She had opened the door. Chapter 6. The Bell. Sarah couldn't sleep. She kept hearing the word bell over and over in her head. It wasn't just from the journal. It echoed through her dreams, soft, distant, metallic. The next day, she returned to the sealed nursery and searched it corner to corner. In the back of the closet, beneath rotting boards, she found it. A small silver bell, engraved with strange symbols, wrapped in blood-stained cloth. When she touched it, a whisper flooded her ears. The gate opens. She dropped the bell and fled the room, but the damage was done. That night, the footsteps didn't just stay behind the door. They entered her dreams. She saw her mother kneeling in a circle of ash. Candles flickered. Shadows screamed. And a baby herself was hidden under the floorboards. "They're still here," Margaret whispered. "Finish what I could not." Chapter 7. The Doctor's Lie. Determined to learn the full truth, Sarah confronted Dr. Glennon the next day. She slammed the journal onto his desk. "You knew about her. About what happened?" Glennon didn't deny it. "She saved lives," he said. "At first. But she changed." Began speaking to herself. Keeping symbols in her office. Performing ceremonies. "You knew she had a child," Sarah said coldly. He looked away. "We thought it was stillborn. She said it lived only minutes." "But I lived," Sarah said. "She hid me in that house while she fought something the rest of you couldn't see." Glennon was silent. Then he whispered, "She wasn't wrong." Chapter 8. Blood Moon. The town was preparing for a rare lunar eclipse, what the locals called a blood moon. That night, Sarah sat in the nursery with candles lit, the silver bell on the floor before her. In Margaret's final journal entry, she had written, "On the night of the blood moon, the veil thins. They will come for the bell, for the child. If the ritual is not completed properly, they will take everything." Sarah followed the instructions. She drew the symbols in chalk, chanted the words from the book, lit the circle. Then the wind howled through the sealed windows. Figures appeared in the shadows. Long arms, empty faces, hollow eyes. The ones her mother warned about. They reached for the bell. Sarah rang it once. They screamed. Chapter 9. Her mother's voice. As the shadows surged toward her, time seemed to stop. A warmth spread through Sarah's chest, an old, protective presence. And then her mother's voice. "You are not the offering. You are the guardian." Sarah stood. She stepped outside the circle, holding the bell aloft. The creatures hissed, recoiling. She rang it again, louder, firmer. And they burned. The wallpaper caught fire. The ceiling cracked. The house trembled. She threw the bell into the flames. Then everything went black. Chapter 10. After the fire. Sarah woke in a hospital bed. Dr. Glennon stood beside her. "The fire destroyed the whole house," he said. "We found you unconscious outside." "What about the bell?" she asked. "There was no bell," he replied. "Nothing left but ash and bone." But Sarah remembered. In her hand was a tiny mark, shaped like a bell. She never spoke of it again. But once a year, on the blood moon, she returns to the empty lot where the house once stood. Just to be sure. Because if the bell rings again, she'll be ready.